but no action plan is done. We need, after every meeting, let's have a response through an action plan. And lastly, let's also talk about water harvesting. Countries like Israel, they don't even receive the kind of rainfall we're having right now, but they're able to feed themselves. We guys are complaining about these floods right now, but when the floods end, when the dry season starts, we start complaining there's no water again. What measures do we have we put in place to ensure that we have water harvesting measures? And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Hesh. Can I go right at the end there? That's Alai.
Yes.
Yes,
thank you, DG. His Excellency, the Deputy President, I'll speak while talking until I get to the front. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm here because we are part of the government. We are elected officers, they are appointed officers, and so on. And also, I'm very proud to see the serving men in uniform who have done a very marvelous job. I'd like to remind my friend there, I think it's from 2022, not 202. And you know, in Nairobi, we are a very funny structure of engagement that the government at the county is UDA, but the majority leadership is ODM and Azimio. So it means if this plan is part of UDA manifesto, the implementers, the people who are going to lead the government business in that assembly is ODM and is Azimio. And last week, the majority leader told us that sitaki kusikia mtu anapinga serikali. So I'm here because of that very nice comment. The other thing I have to remind you is that there are two key committees in that, sectoral committees. One of them is environment and the other one is planning. Environment is led by ODM. Planning is also led by ODM. And I think we have to recognize that if we are not part of the plan from the start, we might not make this thing very successful. I represent people who have a mix. A very good section of us is middle class, but also there's a very big section which is very poor. And that section, both sections suffer because of the environmental consequences of our activities. One of the estates which is remembered in Nairobi here and recognized is Riverside. Riverside is very happy now when it rains. And because the river which is passing through Nairobi River, which is passing through Riverside, where even General Gola used to live, is an open sewer. And it's stinking. The people who are next to the river are choking with that filth because they are the rich, but they say the rich also cry. Yeah? And it's very unfortunate that we see that stink happens under our watch. So I see I must be part of this because the Deputy President is leading a very noble cause. There are two initiatives which the Deputy President is leading and I have to be part of it. The crackdown on alcoholism, you know, and the penetration of alcohol and illegal drugs everywhere in our society. I think we have to stop that. Then the environmental degradation, this one, I think we have to be forefront. His Excellency the Deputy President, there's a park at the front next to Chalby Drive, which Minister Michuki led for a very long time to protect. And that riparian section has been wholly untouched. And I think until during the campaigns and the election, where a brigadier, not a brigadier, a colonel called Colonel Adari, who is a military doctor, invaded and built a very huge building and right into the middle of the river. I think it's a very low-hanging fruit. The discipline formations can start with that, recall their officers, tell the officer, tafadhali huwezi kuharibu hii. Tafadhali huwezi kuharibu hii. Wacha kuishi katikati ya river. Even the poor people have avoided touching in remembrance of Minister Michuki. But a military officer went and built during the election where he knew that there are new elected leaders who are coming in and might not be aware of the dynamics of the area. So, Mheshimiwa, His Excellency, the Deputy President, I'm so grateful to be part of this process, and you know, you can count on my support and the support of like-minded fellows in the Assembly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Alai. Now we can have Shege Maura. Mheshimiwa Shege Maura.
Thank you, DG, Your Excellency. My two interventions. Number one is that any elected leader, whether you're in parliament, whether you're in a national assembly or in the county, anytime you hear the multi-agency approach, you get shivers, especially us who are in this side. So, again. Yeah, any of us who hears multi-agency approach, honestly, because of the ule elimu wa kwanza, you shiver, because we find it as an approach that government uses to hit out at those vitongoji dunis and the small-scale traders, yet they cannot go, and there is no one else to report to, because it's not the police, it's not the military, it's not Kanjo, it's a multi-agency. It's a, so for me, when the explanation was being done was not very clear on the process of the implementation of the regeneration plan. So it would be important maybe in terms of after the plenary we explain to the process of how it's going to be implemented, so that we are also able to disseminate the same information, so that when we are talking to traders, because in my area, Ngara, my name is Chege Mora, I represent Ngara, next to the CBD, Grogon divides between CBD and town. All those traders are going to be affected. All those mechanisms are going to be affected. It is important that we also have a very good plan of how we take it to the next level. Secondly, every time again, the master effluent polluters are usually not the small guys. Also the industries and the bigger players, as Mheshimiwa Alai is talking about, that Museum Hill area. They are not traders, but the stench that comes from that area is unbearable, just next to Kempinski there. So much as it's easy to hit out at the small guys, also look at the big effluent wasters. Finally, and more importantly to the county government, the explanation was not very clear on the role of the county government as well as the role of the county assembly in the regeneration plan. Laws that we make at the county assembly would help us get the input of the mwananchi as much as possible, and also in terms of rolling out of the implementation. There's a clear role of the county assembly that has been hiding or has not come out fully in the plan, and also the role of the county government as far as the sewer line that passes through Nairobi River. Of course, is a Nairobi water. It's built by Athi Water, run by Nairobi River. In fact, the section in Ngara has already broken because sewage is actually flowing straight to Nairobi River, just near Ngara Market. So the role of the county government is really important in this discussion. I thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I think I can answer that straight away. The county government, including both the executive and the assembly, are going to be very integral in this process, and there will be continuous consultations between the two arms. Before I proceed, I'd like to acknowledge, Your Excellency, with your permission, the arrival of members of Parliament, Beatrice Elachi, Dagoretti North, Yusuf Hassan Kamukonji, James Gakuya Bazenga, Embakasi North, and Benjamin Kathiru Mejadong, Embakasi Central. Karibuni. Mheshimiwa Kwenya.
Thank you for this chance. And I just want to go direct to the point. The economic benefits, I have seen it being highlighted, but I think if we integrate the issue of the benefits, most people are using the river banks as their source of income. So I would prefer you consider most the issue of mechanics. It affects me directly. Most of our young men have been forgotten, the mechanics on the river banks of Grogon. Number two, we can also do fishing on that river. If you can think of about fishing, which to me I thought of widening the river from Misiam to a place like Koba, whereby we can have the means of transport even enhanced. People can change from using the road, that is the Uhuru Highway, going down to Dadora. We can expand the river to accommodate maybe the boat sliding, those kind of activities. We can even use, people instead of using the roads and the walking, they can use the river as a means of transport from Misiam going down to where we have the parks. Because I've seen the plan, we have a lot of parks along the river. People can be moving their children using the boats, the boat riding. Those are kind of sports that can be done on the river. The relocation and the empowerment of my people, that is the people on the riversides, the mechanics, the people in Gekomba, where they are the Kamokoji people. And we have seen so many people have been doing buildings along the rivers. What are we going to do with those people? So the relocation part of it is very important. And I know that we have LAD, like there is this parking on the side of Gara, which can be bought by the commission to accommodate some of our people who are doing activities there. So the final thing, as you are doing this project, I would prefer you start with CBD, because CBD can be a piloting. It can bring a good picture. When you approach in other areas, people can have that confidence that it can be done. So CBD and the economic empowerment of my people can be very great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Kwenya. I think we'll take just one or two more, because we can see that the leadership is quite... DNG. Okay, yeah, I was just saying we take one or two more so that we can allow His Excellency the Deputy President to give us the way forward.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, DG, thank you so much for the opportunity. Your Excellency, we absolutely support this initiative to regenerate our rivers. But as we do so, we need to consider sustainability. How do we ensure that as we implement this plan, that there is sustainability along that riverway? Firstly, I think there is a need for a concerted effort between national government and the county government of Nairobi, hence why we're here. That needs to include technical expertise and especially resources. I don't know, as Nairobi County, we're experiencing the great flooding that we are witnessing in this city. But the truth of the matter is we, as Nairobi County, do not have the funding to take care of that menace or that challenge. Therefore, we call upon the national government to support us in several ways, and I have several recommendations. Firstly, if you look at visionary countries that have been able to achieve the kind of videos and photos we've been illustrated today, they have things like dikes that have been able to be built along those waterways to keep away the flooding. Apart from that, we need to overhaul our drainages and our sewer systems. This is a big challenge, that whenever we are experiencing the flood water from the rivers, when it bursts its banks or when we're experiencing massive rainfall, our systems are not able to structurally accommodate that massive amount of water. And I know that the national government has several sources of funding. Somebody has alluded to Kura, somebody else has alluded to Kenha. We also have the disaster fund. We also have the fuel levy that ideally is supposed to be looking at the repair of existing roads as well as the repair of existing drainages. These are very viable proposals that we need to consider so that we can move forward as a team. And as I conclude, I think we also need to look at support from elements like the military and the NYS to support us in terms of mitigating flooding. I know we have our own personnel. We have 3,500 young people we call the Green Army that Nairobi County has recruited, but we are struggling in terms of machinery. For example, we only have 2 flashing units in the Nairobi County. especially in terms of roads, which has been not very well funded and resourced. If there is capacity that the military can bring on board, or the NYS can bring on board, to complement what we already have, that would be something that is very much welcome, to be able to give Nairobians the service delivery that they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Genji. I'll have few and a few. Just a couple of minutes so that we can get the CEO of Nairobi Rivers Commission to first respond before we allow the Deputy President to give us the forward.
Thank you so much. Mine is quite brief. Thank you for the presentation you have done today. But the impression that I get from that presentation is you have looked into the eastern side of Nairobi. You haven't looked into the western side of Nairobi. And also the impression that you have created here is that the eastern side of Nairobi is so forested. Yes, we have the forest, but you also have these challenges. And I would want to give an example with Ruaka River. Ruaka River, there is a project by Runda Water. They abstract their waters from Ruaka River, but the project is no longer viable because the waters are polluted. So the waters are not only polluted on the western side of Nairobi. Lastly, a study has been done by Friends of Karura, and I'm happy to see Kenya Forest here, Beatrice and Madam Modhoni there. When this water gets into Karura Forest, they are very polluted. But when this water gets out of Karura Forest at DCI, they are quite clean. So what we are getting here is that trees and vegetation will always help with these issues of pollution. Lastly, Nairobi for many years is known as a place of cool waters. So we are going to always have waters in Nairobi. It is us who have invaded into this forest and destroyed vegetation. The result is what we are having today. So even when our roads have turned out to be waterways and watercourses, Waziri for irrigation, it is water coming back to us. And I'm going to end this with what Wangari Maathai said, that nature is very unforgiving and also quite unforgetful. So maji itarudi kwa mkondo yake, kama vile Wakikuyu tunasema maeni magoshoka mukaro. So with those few remarks, thank you so much. May we be remembered on the western side of Nairobi.
Thank you, Mhesh. I think the Nairobi Rivers Basin, as conceived, covers all the rivers that flow through Nairobi. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Commission, but I think they intend to look at every part of the city that is impacted by this problem. I think I'll call the last speaker so that I can ask the Brigadier to respond. So, Speaker. From Roysambu.
Your Excellency, Deputy President of Kenya, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for seeing it twice, in particular to engage the MCAs. Because I've always said, if the MCAs are not present, the mwananchi ule wa mashinani, sometimes their views are not captured. And I say this because when Kura, for example, does a road without the involvement of the MCA, what happens? We receive calls. Mheshimiwa, hii barabara unajenga hapa ni ya wapi? And I have to consult as a leader because I was not involved in that national project. So I think moving forward, I want to encourage and request that any project that is being done, whether at the national level, at the county level, it's good to involve the MCA so that we get their views. Number two, I want to appreciate this initiative. It's a good initiative. I want to point out two things. Number one, how we can fast track the installation of sewer system within the slums. Because reality has it, where we have a slum, we have a river along or around that slum. So if we are able to fast track the installation of sewer, it will go a long way in preventing our rivers. Number two, circular economy. This is a great idea that was adopted in the country. But again, the spirit of that circular economy has not or is yet to be realized. And I say this because with circular economy, again, it comes to one, promote the socio-economic bit by, exposing the people who are engaged in that field in terms of businesses, the products they're selling. Number two, in terms of waste reduction. And then number three, in terms of recycling. Because if the spirit of circular economy, there was an element where they had suggested that we have recycling centers at the ward level. So the waste that we are talking about that gets its way into the river, if we are able to have an area where this waste can be segregated and perhaps recycled, it will also go a long way in handling the issue. So I didn't see that bit. I think it's something that really needs to be encouraged. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. I think with those remarks from the MCAs and the MPs, I think we can all get that this program has got support universally across the leadership and across the political leadership in the county. And I think it's a very good first start. Right, so before we go to Brigadier Morashia, I need to give an opportunity to